Hey folks, Ted from Nerd Immersion here, and we are back with the final piece of our recent DMs Guild sponsorship mini-series. And today we are going to be talking about single and two-player D&D games, both obviously contained on the DMs Guild. And the thought process the DMs Guild wanted to have behind this was perfect for safe stay-at-home play, right? We obviously know we're in unprecedented times at the moment with the way things are with the pandemic. So technically, being able to go out to a local game store or maybe get your game group together may prove more difficult than ever before. Probably has. So this is a concept of a solo adventure, one that you can play where you basically play the player and the DM, sort of like a choose your own adventure kind of game, novel, but an actual game, as well as two-player ones where it's a single player and a DM, and it's kind of I think duet is the term I've seen thrown around a lot. So that is the two that they wanted to discuss, and similar to the last couple videos we did, the DMs Guild gave me free range and said, go find your favorite, find the one you like the best of a solo adventure and a two-player adventure, one player, one DM. Let us know. We'll comp you those and then talk about them in your video. So that's what I'm doing today. For this one, they wanted to emphasize that the DMs Guild community creators are highly creative and always brainstorming not only new rule sets to supplement 5th edition, but also new formats like this, single player and one-on-one. Typically, if you know about 5th edition, it's designed to be played with a party of, I think typically 4 to 5 players is the base design. I believe challenge rating itself is based around a party of 4 or 5 creatures. So anyway, without further ado, let me jump over to the DMs Guild here. So first up, we have First Blush, and this is a Best Adamantine Seller, 103. This may be one of the best rated things we've reviewed yet. Best Adamantine Seller, it only came out in January of last year, and it has 103 ratings for 4.5 stars. So you can tell that clearly this is a winner. So it also is pay what you want. So you can pay, you technically don't have to pay anything for it if you don't want to. But if you do enjoy stuff, you should compensate the creators. So a duet campaign, right? An inaugural adventure of a D&D duet bringing you high quality, ready to play material for one player and one DM. It's a 2 to 4 hour introductory adventure, adaptable to any setting and spanning 2 parts. All necessary stat blocks and monsters are created in it. Print and play battle maps, and 3 ready-to-go player sheets, complete with background in case they don't want to make them up. And it actually is part of a 3-part series. You can see part 2 here is called Second Glance, and then the final, our resolution here is Third Time's the Charm, or you can go right here and get the Crystalline Curse Trilogy all as a bundle. So if we jump over here, we can see it's only 14 pages. But it's, I believe, a husband and wife duo who made this here. And you can see this awesome D&D Duet logo they have here. So, I don't want to spoil too much of it because I feel like, so this is another interesting thing. Normally when I do a DM's Guild review, I read through not the entire adventure, but I give you a large sampling of the entirety of it. But I feel like more people are able to read that or watch that, because what are the chances you may actually end up playing it? But a one-on-one adventure, you stand a pretty good chance of being able to find one other person to run a game or one other person to run a game for. But anyway, let's go over a little bit of the introduction here. So an additional goal of this module is introduce D&D to a person that has no experience with the game. Pursuant to that goal, the module contains an easy introduction to the 3 pillars of play: exploration, combat, and social interaction. That's designed to be used by the person running the game. You will find some pre-generated characters, and then it kind of gives you just very high-level stuff, too, just about D&D, in case you're unaware. And the player character in this adventure has some intimate connection with a noble family, or could even be a member of said family. It is recommended that you discuss a character history with your player before running the game, or use the options provided in the supplementary material. In this adventure, the player character will practice roleplay with a couple key NPCs, go through a simulated dungeon and combat scenario, and then put these pieces together to explore a real dungeon and discover the secret within. Unique NPCs, maps, and such at the end. So yeah, I mean, you can tell it's 14 pages. Like I said, I don't want to spoil too much, but I'll just kind of scroll through it as we talk because I feel like this is very reasonable for someone, especially like if you are stuck isolating, quarantining, and it's like you and a roommate, you and a significant other. There's a pretty good chance you could find a couple hours to play some D&D together. You can see we have some nice hand-drawn maps here as well at the end. Training arena, arena 2, arena 3, and so on. So I just wanted to highlight this. I haven't had a chance to play through it myself, honestly, and I do think it would be really fun. I think like this would be a fun one that I could maybe run for my wife or one of my buddies or maybe my sister, someone who doesn't really play D&D too much, but could probably get enjoyment out of this. I think just based on the way things are written, I think my wife would be a really good candidate for this. And if we somehow manage to find the time in our busy lives to play this, and I get a chance to record and or stream it, I'll let you guys know. And the second part of this video was a solo adventure. So I said any one of or the solo adventure bundle by 5e solo game books. Okay, so I mean the name is right there, 5e solo game books. This itself only came out, this is the compilation of 4 different adventures compiled together. This came out in March of 2019. It is a best platinum seller, 34 4.5 star ratings. And it is the Death Knight Squire, Tyrant of Zental Keep, Citadel of the Raven, and the Torture's Land. And you can see Mithril's bestseller for the Death Knight Squire. I actually was familiar with this one ahead of time. This is 138, well, trumping the last one, 138 4.5 stars rating here. And you can see you can now actually get this in a soft cover book, too, if you wanted. Best adamantine seller for that one. And it is basically for 34. Oh, I said first plus was pay what you want. The solo adventure bundle is 4 books for $34. And I will remind you that coming up at the end of this video, I will be giving you a code that you can enter in to get money off of a purchase you make on the DMsGuild. So you could use it towards this if $34 seems like a little much. But trust me, it's 583 pages. This is larger than any 5th edition book in all of Dungeons & Dragons 5e, I think. Any official published book, this is bigger. This contains like at least about 200 or so pages more than any one of them. So anyway, you can see there's a ton of praise here for these 5e solo game books. And there are a whole bunch of other ones as well, right? There's the short solo adventure bundle, another small bundle containing other things as well. And yeah, basically, let's just go ahead and pull it up. So here it is. You can see that the Death Knight Squire, which I think was the first one in the series, is 98 pages by itself. So here's another thing. I don't want to read too much into this either for this one because I know it's been rated very well, and everyone I hear like just gushes over this. I want to play through this myself, and I want to stream it and have you guys play along with me. I think it could be fun to do that. So this is a different kind of module. It's a solo adventure. It's designed for a player who cannot find time with a dungeon master, but is dying to play D&D nonetheless. Given the current resurgence of the game, this was again a couple years ago, there are quite a few of these players around who, due to geography or just poor luck, are unable to indulge in their newfound passion. This game is written for them and for those who would like a little adventure in between their regular sessions with a dungeon master. It is also written for those poor DMs like myself who never get a chance to play a PC. A handful of solo adventures were released for the first and second editions of the game, such as Lethen's Gold, Rage of the Rakasta, and so on. The original Redbox Basic set also included a solo adventure, which I, and I'm sure many others, have fond memories of playing. However, I personally have not seen many solo adventures for 5e, apart from a few floating about online. Time to do something about that. This adventure is set in the Forgotten Realms, which could be easily adapted to any world. If you do not have access to the D&D books like the Player's Handbook, you can go with the basic rules here. Title pages, important note, don't look at the maps until you're specifically directed to. You will only be spoiling the surprise in gameplay for yourself. This adventure is played using 2 booklets. The Adventure booklet, which contains named entries that form the narrative basis of the set, and the Maps booklet, which contain gridded sections of the adventure called tile pages, my mistake. Play through one by one with PC and monster tokens. You'll need to print the map booklet, preferably in color, for the optional or the optimal tabletop experience. You may want to print out the adventure booklet as well, or you could access it from your laptop or tablet. Note, when you access the PDF adventure booklet on a device, you'll have access to the active links, removing the need to search through pages for the next entry. If you don't have access to a printer, JPEG files of the individual maps have been included for your convenience. You can drop these into Roll20 or some other online mapping service. As stated above, the maps booklet contains the sections of the adventure map called tile pages, revealed as you move through the adventure. Also, at the back of this booklet, there are tile pages and entries detailing actions you can take while on the tile page. When directed, you move a token onto the tile page's map booklet and then follow directions given in the tile page entry. You may find the maps useful for play, or you may not, but provide a handy visual reference for the adventure. So again, it's like pages of tiles, like sort of those board games where you're building a map as you go. That's what these are. It says find something to function as a PC, monster tokens, game dice, etc. And then it tells you kind of actions and how the movement rules work, moving between maps. There are percentile chance rolls, green dots, and other items on the page. And, there's a lot of interesting stuff here. How to check for traps and all this sort of fun stuff. And I really, really want to play this. It's 98 pages. I don't want to scroll ahead because I don't want to miss out on anything. But you can see we're already getting into the adventure right here. And I'll just do a quick scan. I'm not going to really look at it. I'll just look at the camera. We'll just continue to scroll through here so you guys can see some of the content that we're looking at in here. But, I mean, like I said, to the comments about the last one, if it's hard for you to find someone, even just one singular person to play D&D with, it's probably not going to be hard for you to play D&D by yourself. I mean, for lack of a better term, like I said, this is essentially a choose-your-own-adventure novel framed as D&D. There is obviously a degree of randomness involved in these when you're going to be doing dice rolls and things like that, whereas a choose-your-own-adventure book, you're just flipping to a page and reading what it says. And the reason that I keep using choose-your-own-adventure as a descriptor, and maybe that's actually the wrong terminology, but it's like the concept of playing chess against yourself. You are controlling both sides, the enemies and the heroes, and you know what the other one is going to do in theory, right? Because you're both the good guy and the bad guy. That's sort of the difference when you're playing in a real game of D&D, or not a real game, in a standard game of D&D, because you don't know what the DM is thinking and what the DM is going to have those monsters do. And you as a player don't know that. You react as things are happening. Same thing on the other side. If you're DMing, you don't know what the players are going to do. Usually it's not what you expect, and you have to react on the fly. If you're controlling the kobolds and you're controlling the character, you know what's going to happen. And then you get into that weird aspect of, I want the encounters to be challenging so they're fun, so I'll have the monsters act intelligently, but I also don't want to die because I want to enjoy the rest of the adventure, so maybe they'll take it easy on me. I don't know. It really comes down to you being true to yourself and giving you the experience that you want, right? A choose-your-own-adventure book, those outcomes are all determined hard fact in print. You flip to the right page and read it. So maybe choose your own adventure was the wrong analogy, because even if things are completely at face value and it's kobold versus PC character, they're both probably going to attack each other. They make an attack roll. It's determined by a die roll. The kobold could score a critical hit, and the player could score a natural one, and then the kobold ends up killing the character, and you just have to start over. It gets into the things where if you start negotiating with yourself, like, I'm going to try to bargain with the kobold. Okay, what do you say? Well, I say this. And remember, this is a singular conversation that you are having with yourself. I'm illustrating it out loud for the purposes of a video. But, if I say, I think you should stand down and let me pass, you are the one who tells you whether or not the kobold believes that, or whether or not the kobold needs to make a check, and you're also the person who sets the DC for how high that DC is. So I've never done a solo adventure before. I'm greatly intrigued by it. I've heard that they were a thing in past editions, and that interests me a lot. So I would love to give it a shot, and I do think... Let me know your thoughts, seriously, in the comments. Would you want to see me stream this adventure or one of the other adventures from the solo adventure book series? I have this and the 3 others just from this combo pack. So I think it would be a really fun stream, because then it is still a one-on-one, but there's also an audience. So you, the audience, can make suggestions to me as I play through it to possibly alter or change things up, and I think that that could be fun. Like I said, if I look at each one of these individually, will cost you about $10 up to $25 if you were to get soft cover ones for the ones that have soft cover versions. Or you can spend $34 and get 4 adventures in one. Let's see if it tells us how long it is. I don't remember if it says. This quest should take about 2 to 4 hours and is designed to be as close to the experience of playing with a DM as possible. Note, it can easily be played by 2 players or run as a full party adventure with a DM and multiple players, which is also something I hadn't even thought of. You can just use it as a module to run regular D&D. So this has multiple uses. It can be run solo, and if you want to truly get probably the most informative experience about how it would be like to be a player, you could run this adventure as a solo encounter, run through that, and then run it for a group of players, but you'll already have had the knowledge and seen the inner workings of it because you had to play through it yourself. But I also like the concept of making up a character at level 2, and I'm sure there's specific parameters for rules, but I don't get to play a lot. We've had this discussion on the channel before, so I would love to do that, and then I can take my level 2 character over to Tyrant of Zental Keep, and then this character can, I think, go to whatever the next one is. The sequel to Tyrant of Zental Keep is Citadel of the Raven. And then I think there's a final one after that is, let's see. Citadel of the Raven is playable standalone, but many items and clues gained in Tyrant of Zental Keep may or may not, be of importance there. And then it looks like the final one here is the Tortured Land. I don't know if this is a new one. Let's see. At the end of this adventure, you will progress your PC to level 5 in preparation for our next solo adventure, Drums at Daggerford. So you can see the series keeps going. They're all exceptionally highly rated, and I think this could be like a really fun, almost like mini stream series to do over the course. It wouldn't be like something I would do every day, but it's something I could do for fun over the course of a couple months, and then, hey, I have a fun level 5 PC that I get to actually pick everything, and I don't have to worry about what the party's going to choose. And then I think it also could be fun, like, I could take this character if I wanted and bring them into my homebrew world as an NPC. Maybe if I could bring them into, like, a player. If I ever get the lucky chance that some of you guys out there want to run a game for me, we could bring this character who we got to watch grow together in the course of a stream into a game, which could be really fun. I'm really excited about this concept, and I think it was a really, really smart move on the DMsGuild part to look at solo adventures and 2-player adventures, things that people can do, even if they don't have access to D&D, period, but especially because of COVID-19 and the way the world is right now, not being able to go out and mass gatherings and any of that kind of stuff. This has there's definitely a market for this, as you can see by the number of bestseller medals, as well as high rated and ranked all of the adventures are 4.5 to 5 stars, almost all of them. So I'm just super excited about this. So once again, a huge shout out to Lisa and the DMsGuild for sponsoring this video and the 2 previous ones. As I stated before, there is a coupon code that you can go ahead, and I'll put that in the link, or I'll put a link to this bundle in the description if you want to pick them all up. It'll be a Guild affiliate link, DMsGuild affiliate link. So if you do purchase it, I get a little piece as well. And then I will also put a code on the screen and in the description, and it is NerdGuild3. That's all one word, NerdGuild3, and that is good for $5 off a DMsGuild community purchase of $15 or more. As we saw, some of those adventures were $15. The combo pack was $34. It's a one-time per customer use, and it expires on January 1st, 2021. So again, thank you all so much for watching. A lot more stuff, fun stuff coming on the channel in the near future, more collaborations and whatnot. So I hope to see you in the next video.